Hey guys, um, I know it's been forever since I've posted a video. I apologize, there's been some major things going on in my life and I will explain that to you later, but for now I'm going to just give you this video. Um, what you see here is hamburger meat. There's going to be 3 different meats in this video. What I'm doing is canning up the meat that's in my freezer because it is going to go bad very soon. We've had it in there for a very, very long time, so I can't stand the thought of throwing it out. So, um, for the last 2 weeks, I have been canning nonstop, and we'll have this, for emergencies or anything that we might need it for. Anyways, this is a 90% lean hamburger meat. I didn't really have any grease in there that I had to worry about straining, so I'm not worried about that. I'm going to leave 1 inch of headspace here. This is a dry canning method for the hamburger meat. You don't have to add any liquid. It will create its own liquid within the jar, and it will keep its texture this way. If you put the hamburger meat in with some sort of liquid, sometimes it gets too soft. So this is how I'm handling this one. You don't want to pack it in the jar tightly either. Try to get as much air out of there as you can, but don't pack it in there firmly. Now I'm going to wipe the rim with the vinegar. You always want to do it really well when you are handling meat and processing meat, because if there's a little bit of grease on the rim, your jar may not seal. So you want to make sure that that's nice and clean, and always check your rim also to make sure it doesn't have chips in it. It's a little bit more than a 1 inch headspace, but it's fine. I haven't really worried about being exact with the hamburger meat because it is a dry method, so it's not exactly the same as canning liquids. I'm going to go ahead and do one more jar here, and then I'll get these all filled and switch to a different meat. This is actually a really easy method. You just pre-cook your hamburger meat. If it does have too much grease in there, or fat, you can always strain it out. But the way I see it, if it's a huge disaster or something to where you may not be eating as much food as normally, you may want that fat in there, so I'm not super worried about it. Again, I'm wiping the rim with vinegar. And I've already washed and sterilized everything here, which you don't really have to do. When you're pressure canning, you don't have to sterilize your jars. I do it anyways. Okay, now this is a pork stew meat. It's just cut into chunks. Right there I have some canning salt and my vinegar. Now this is a raw pack method. And to me, this is the easiest method of canning meat, is the raw pack method. It does make a little bit of a mess of the jar, which it doesn't bother me. Some people don't like it like that. You have to scrub it up after you get done emptying the jar out, but that's not a problem for me. So it also may not be as pretty when it's jarred up and processed, because there will be some fats in there. If you like par cook it, it's not that bad. But I'm not going for pretty here. I'm just trying to keep from wasting food and have emergency food on hand. Now this you do want to pack. You want to try to get every bit in there that you can within that 1-inch headspace. You really push it down in there to try to get the air bubbles out, because you can't really debubble this either, you know. So you try to squeeze as much air out as you can. Sorry guys. I don't know if you noticed that, but I forgot to put the salt in that one. It is close to the inch headspace, but you don't have to be exact with this either in my book. I'm not saying that this is the way that you're supposed to do it. This is just what I've known to do. So I haven't had anything turn out wrong yet. Now this is chicken thighs. I haven't cut this up. It's a whole chicken thigh. I'm going to put 2 chicken thighs in each jar. And to every one of these meats, I've added 1 teaspoon of the canning salt. You can add less or more. It's really up to what you want in there. You can also season it somewhat, but I just left it plain. I think the hamburger meat, I did go ahead and season it because that will be something easy for my husband. If he wants to cook up some spaghetti or something, he can just dump it in there. It's already seasoned. He just adds the sauce and everything. So like one of the things that I've went through recently is surgery, and it really started a bad chain reaction with me. So he's had to kind of take care of himself here and there. So this will make it easier on him. I am starting to get better though. I'm finally able to do something like this. You know, canning, I couldn't do that at all. So hopefully I'm on the road to recovery. But just got to face the new challenges. Now see, even this, like, he could use it, he could dump it into some sort of casserole, you know, it would be easy, but canning meat really appeals to me, like, in an emergency situation. Canning anything appeals to me in that way because it's already cooked. You don't have to worry about that, you know, how you would cook it or having the water to cook it with. You know, it's already done. You don't even really have to heat it up. You can just open the jar and eat it. But I'm going over this area right here. Now, what you don't see in the video is I actually take the salt, everything away from here and clean it underneath that too, just in case. But I always clean with antibacterial cleaner anywhere that any sort of meat could have touched or fell or dripped. But especially canning, you want to always make sure that your surfaces are clean and you clean up after yourself. And that's what they look like jarred up. And I am loading up the canner finally. I'm putting most of the raw packed method on the bottom. I'm going to have 2 layers in here. I feel like that's closer to the heat first, so I'm putting as much as I can on the bottom. It really doesn't matter. I'm just OCD about things, I guess. But most of the hamburger meat's going to go on the top shelf. I don't know what, I guess I'm explaining there's 2 layers in here with my hand, my silent hand.
Son, stop doing that. You're gonna freeze up.
There we go. I have like 1 or 2 raw jars up there. Now, everything I'm placing in here is cold. Even the water is cold. So I'm starting this out, and I jumped ahead right there. 10 pounds of pressure, that's what you want. In certain areas, you may need to go up to 15 pounds of pressure if you are, I think, above 1,000 feet. But that's what it looks like when it is cooked. I think that's the pork. Now you can make pulled pork sandwiches or anything with that. But what I was saying with the cold, when you're starting out cold, if you're putting something cold in your jars, you want to start out with cold water in a cold canner. You can just gradually bring the heat up, and then once it gets kind of, you can touch it, it's kind of warm on the outside, go ahead and turn it up to high. I feel like easing it into that heat will help keep your jars from busting. And there's the chicken thighs. You can see there's some fat in there, but you can always pour that off if you don't want it. Or if you have dogs, put it on their dog food. They would love that. There's another chicken thigh. A few days ago I finally did the boneless, skinless chicken breast that I got from Zaycon forever ago. But this is the end of the video, and I love you all. I hope you all have a wonderful night. I will be back very soon. There's a lot that we have to share with you guys, but I love you all. Bye-bye.